And we are back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today as we're joined by three representatives of agencies that are participating in Belize's Pride Week. Pride Week kicks off today and it concludes on the actual Pride Fest Day, which will be August 10th. We have with us on set the coordinator for PETAL, Simone Hill, well-known face here on Open Your Eyes. And we have two new faces with us today. We have Kenny White in the middle, who's the executive director of Belize Trans Color. And on the end, we have Kendale Trapp, who's the executive director of Empower Yourself Belize Movement. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so this is a celebration that is tied directly to a historic moment that took place 3 years ago. Let's talk about that.
All right, so on August 10, 2016, we know that the ruling came down. And at that time, we were so happy, and people of the LGBT community looked at themselves as being freed when that ruling came down. And so, as for many years, we have been celebrating Pride with the rest of the world, or a part of the world, in June. And so we had come together as a collective LGBT movement. All organizations decided that why not have a meaning behind our Pride? And since we were set free, as some in the LGBT community looked at it, we decided to celebrate it in the week where August 10th would be involved in that. And from 2017, we started it. And so we continue today.
So while the rest of the world celebrates Pride in June, Belize celebrates in August because that's when we had the historic ruling of the Section 53 case. I want to shift over though, Simone, because we get to talk to you quite a bit, but we have two new faces here. And I think what it opens us up to realize is that there are more people and organizations working for the LGBT community than we know. We know PETAL and we know EYBM. But tell me about, let's start with Empower Yourself Belize Movement. Kendale, tell me about the work that you do.
Well, Empower Yourself Belize Movement has been in existence for 7 years, and we work with it's a LGBT-led organization, but we believe in inclusivity and exclusivity. So we work with persons living with HIV, women and girls, so we advocate for everyone.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what would be your primary objective?
Well, our primary objective is to work with, see how we can better the health condition of our community. So like access to health care, better treatment for all.
All right, and let's talk to Kenny from the Belize Trans Color.
Yeah, Belize Trans Colors we have incorporated since last year. We've been a movement since August, but we legally incorporated in, I think, October, last year, October. And Belize Trans Colors, we work with the trans community, which is trans men and trans female. And basically that's what we do outreaches for with the trans community. We go to the nightclubs, the bar where they are, like for instance, most of the girls in our community, they have to do sex work. So that's where we target them at the bars and so forth, especially in San Pedro.
Yeah. Now, Simone, talk to me about the network of NGOs that come together to commemorate Pride Week. Because I really appreciate you all being here because it shows the openness that we're having in sharing our stories, especially when you're from a vulnerable community. So talk to me about having others on board and the growing representation in organizations.
All right, so when we decided to have Pride, as we are growing and as organizations, we come together, form these organizations to advocate for our rights and people like ourselves. So it was in last year November at a country meeting that we decided that we would do a collaboration where all organizations would of the LGBT community would get together. So it's not only PETAL, EYBM, BTC, you have Belize Youth Empowerment for Change, and you have our circle, and along with EYBM, who have come together to sit at the table to be the Pride Planning Committee. But we see this evolving, and we want members of the community, the wider LGBT community, to sit on that Pride Planning Committee in the future. But for right now, we came together, and even though organizations like, for example, BTC will have something this week, and Kenny can talk on that. Organizations are not so much focused on doing something every day of the week at this point. We are more focusing on the actual day itself for this year.
For the Pridefest.
Precisely. So we will have an opening ceremony where we've invited the LGBT community and everyone to come out to that day, and to make it something where it is for us, by us.
You know, let me ask you, if we reflect to 3 years ago when there was or before 3 years, the ongoing case for the Section 53 hearing, it was a very hateful time in this country and a very divisive time. In fact, the only thing I think was even similar was perhaps all the referendum debate, but that's what it was like when we were talking about Section 53. And I can only imagine, as a member of the LGBT community, how much it may have been a scary time for you. What is it like now, 3 years later, coming on public television, talking about your own sexuality, or even just the people that you're working with? And the trans community, I think, is one that is really just starting to get a voice. What is it like? Do you still have those underlying fears of all the hate that you've heard over the years?
Well, personally for me, I don't necessarily have it. I know there are some in the community, as I serve the lesbian community, there's still that underlying aspect of the hate. But more we are seeing that Belize is trying to be a country that accepts citizens as we are citizens of the country. And I feel like more people are coming to where because through the various works that each organization does, we're trying to be inclusive of our families, to get our families on board, to ensure that they know what is happening and they too realize the voice of their family members. And so it's to get them on board also, and try to reduce the stigma and discrimination, which would lead to something, as you said, hate.
Well, personally for me, the underlying hate is there, especially since you're black, and you know they're saying when you're black you're not supposed to be gay because black people have went through this entire 300 years of slavery. So, but the fear is there, but what I've realized as an organization that we need to continue to educate our population about what it is being gay. And what EYBM has embarked on this year as an activity is that we work with parents of LGBT and we bring them together and let them have the conversation, because in our previous setting they were like, well, I didn't know. They always thought it was only them. They're the only person going through this. But when they see that, no, I'm not the only parent. So
many families.
There are many families, so they have come together and know it's really like they're coming in one after one, and they're talking more and more openly and honestly about what it is to have someone that is gay.
And how challenging is it to get the families engaged?
Well, what EYBM has done, we go to the community and see if they can invite the parents both, and that's why it goes like a replaying effect.
It's not an easy task, you know. It's really hard.
I wouldn't imagine that it is.
Yes, it's really, really hard. Like, for instance, 3 years ago, or even beyond 3 years ago, being accepted in this country, for instance, you have persons like myself have always been out there in the public eyes in terms of partying, being on the streets, and, you know, just being that person that you're very friendly, networking every day, or in terms of your work. And I've always been out there in the public. So being myself today is just, for me, I'm very comfortable, but at the end of the day, it's not everybody thinks the way I think. Not everybody has that mindset. And so for me, I'm very comfortable, but at the end of the day, we are the voices for other persons that are not comfortable in this country. And it's not as easy for a trans person getting on and off a bus, traveling from their districts to Belize City for a common workshop. it's like we have to extend that extra mile for them to get a private transportation from their district to Belize City, because they still have this fear. Somebody will tell them something, or for instance, the healthcare system, going in there, people still addressing them as their birth name. And it's not something that we would say that they have to change, but it's something that we will like them to change.
It's a consideration.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what would you say is the total representation of the six organizations that come together for the coalition for Pride Week? Is there a number that you work with, how much you represent?
How many people we
are represented by these 6 organizations? Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We don't.
Yeah. Now, putting together the activities, I saw some of the flyers, and I saw that one of the key things that you keep on talking about is security and safety.
Yes.
Is it, I mean, that's something we need in Belize City for quite a number of events, but when you lay out the scenario of the trans community, obviously becomes more important. How open have people been to offer their spaces or allow for you to do rentals? We've had this story before, Simone, where sometimes people can refuse to do business with you. What is it like now, 3 years later?
It's good. People are in business. It's to make money, and I have not the people are very open. And one of the things at PETAL, we did familiarization meetings. We tried to do it with the establishments that we would procure. And so, but it has been good. People are in the business of making money, but not just in the business of making money, but they want to work with you in terms of ensuring that you have a safe time. If you're dealing with a business such as the hotels, and you're having a workshop or training or meeting there, they want to ensure that their staff is on point, that you do not get that discrimination, anything. So I must say that the business community of Belize have really been good to the organizations.
Would you all say that this is all after the ruling, or it's just kind of been like an opening of our minds as a collective society? What would you account for these changes?
I believe it's an opening of the mind. I like education. Education is good. And more so in Belize, we saw with the referendum. The referendum shows that Belizeans just want to be informed.
Yeah.
They want to be informed. And it's an ongoing thing where you have that once people know, once you're pushing, because if you don't demand something, people will not change. If you're not telling a person that this is, I'm not comfortable with this, people will believe that what they're giving or what they're doing is to your satisfaction. So it's to let people know. And I like that I'm seeing these changes in Belize. It's so refreshing, I would say.
Yeah.
It's a huge change. Because before, like when we used to go, for me going to UNIBAM's meetings at certain places, I used to see the workers like stand at the side and look at you and just watching you, criticizing you, saying certain things. And now like you feel more comfortable in just walking into a place, going for a meeting, and people just be themselves and just keep on walking, or just not stare you like before. Because that's what we used to get a couple years back. Like they literally stand and watch.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed, like over the years, that the population itself has really matured, because there are more pressing issue that is affecting everyday Belizeans than to about someone and their sexuality. So we say that there is more education that needs to put into the community in what we're doing.
You know, but one of the big things that happens, I think the difference between somebody who perhaps, whether curiosity or even sometimes out of judgment, to be fair, wants to see who's going to these meetings, is because you don't want to be seen going to these meetings, or you don't want to be reported to someone else. So it's almost getting information that nobody had before. But when you're open, and when you are out and you tell people this is who I am, no excuses, then they really have nobody to go report it to.
Yes, that's true.
Talk to me about that part, because I find it fascinating. And Simone is laughing because did I hit the nail on the head there or something? I don't know.
No, it's just how you're saying.
Yeah.
the way you project it.
Yeah, but it's a truth once, and I've said this 100 times, that once you are comfortable with yourself, and it's unfortunate that we have to say our sexuality, but it's since we are living in these times, and we must see then, and we must own it, we must be comfortable with it, and it's like everything, you know, a secret. Don't make it a secret, because it just it's like fanning flames, you know. So just be open about it. And I like you mentioned something about going to the meetings and the workshops, and probably people would be hiding, so that makes it that a person would more look and be staring. To see that a lot of people are more open, and like I said, especially with Section 53, where people believe they have arrived or they are free. And I liked it. I was thinking about this over the weekend, about people believe in we're free. And I like that sort of exclamation, free, because a law was there, even though many have said it was not used. True, people were not dragged into court with it, but it was used by our police force to intimidate people. And so just the intimidation, so people feeling free, knowing that the law is unconstitutional, the police cannot harass me. And especially for people who identify as trans, or people who, trans women mainly, or people who love to cross-dress.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's happening with Belize Trans Colors this week.
Actually, we're doing a nails and makeup course for the trans community and person within the LGBT community, or MSM. And that will be started today up until the 10th of this month.
Where is that going to be?
At the ITVET Compound.
Okay. Is there a fee or it's free?
No, it's free for the community.
Oh, wow. Extra skill, they can make some extra money.
Yes,
that's the cost behind the whole course for this week.
Yeah?
Yeah, and so I'm excited to go forward to the actual day, the 10th. So there will be a fee. I like that. There will be a fee, and we get off at 9. We want to start our opening ceremony. So I invite everybody, LGBT community especially, and their family and friends. And I think we have a charge at the gate for what? $2 entrance fee. And all this, which is important, we have these organizations, and I look at sustainability. And so one of the things is I learned at a conference I was at about pinkwashing. And I want to say that I would like to see that our community make our money. For long, we have been struggling.
What did you say? Pinkwashing?
Pinkwashing.
What is that? I don't.
Yes. Meaning that, you know, like everybody else come out and wave a flag and that has business. Or we're, you know, because we have a gay flag, we're supportive of the gay community, we're making the money. They're making the money. It's not that necessarily that they are with the gay community.
They don't really support, but they want to make money.
Precisely.
Oh.
And so that is why one of the things it's imperative to, when we have these things like the Pridefest, and as we move forward, it's to ensure that our community makes the money to sustain the organization's work for the community.
Yeah. So it's you're going to make some funds as well from the event.
Definitely. So our circle, they are having different games. They'll be in charge of the games and things for the family, and we're expecting people of the community and their children to come out. So our circle is tasked with creating that whole atmosphere of games and things like that. PETAL is doing the push your product. We had women who were involved in painting, jewelry making, and also woodworking. So we're pushing that product. And the other organizations like BTC, you're doing.
We're just doing the class this week, and then we're gonna have our information booth out there.
And also the party later on.
Oh yes, I saw that. I'm gonna get to that. But I just wanted to find out how you do the wet fit, paint and powder. Yeah.
And EYBM won't be doing any activity since we're collaborating with the Pride, the paint powder and water fit. But what we'll be doing, we'll be having our information booth. And we're trying to reach out to the general community because we're embarking on a project that what we do, we collect the information on people that are being abused within the, on the south side. So if you got any police brutality, you're being neglected in the system, we take the report and through our pro bono lawyers, we can help you put a case forward.
Okay, all right.
So we're not only trying to help the LGBT community, we're open to the general public as well, because we know once you're vulnerable in this country, you tend to be stigmatized and discriminated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what I heard from you earlier, that it essentially what started as an LGBT community moved on to including other vulnerable communities as well. Something we've seen PETAL do with women as well. So you have the event on April 10th at the ITVET. August 10th. At the ITVET. It starts off with food and drinks and games, and you have a number of booths set up, and then you close off with a party.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
Well, these guys are the people responsible
You're not going to party?
Yeah, but they're responsible for the partying.
So tell us about the wet fed. Is it separate? Once you go for the day, you can stay for it? You have to go back in for a separate fee?
No, what happened when you pay your $2 entrance fee, that's for the whole day, but the fed come at a different cost, which is $15.
Okay.
Well, I say it's practically no kind of money, but we just want to encourage people, well, come and have fun. Let's come and have good, clean fun as a country and as a community.
Yeah.
So that starts at what time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 till 12.
Yeah, so I guess we'll be looking at that aspect where people pay the $2. If it's somebody like me, I would stay all day. But we close it off at maybe 5
and then
or
have
6,
another entrance.
and then have the other entrance.
So it's part of the Lou drop.
And of course, clearly come prepared to get wet and with paint on you, right?
Yes.
All right.
And it's all about security. We will be having tight security.
Did you have any sponsors that helped you out this year?
Not necessarily, no sponsors this year. We may be going into, I know that one of our biggest supporter has been Travelers. Nice. And so Travelers will be in that space. We've invited Travelers to be in that space, but everything else basically is for the community. And we've also had booths, renting booths. And so I see as we move further, this year we are just doing it, and it's like a trial. And as next year, I see that we will be bigger. We'll get bigger.
Now, internationally, Pride Week is a celebration for not just the LGBT community. It's for supporters, advocates, family, friends, or people who are just open to whatever people want to do. Is that the same in Belize? Are you hoping that you're going to have people come out who don't necessarily identify as LGBT, but just want to support or go for a good party?
Yes.
Definitely.
We'll get good information on how we can assist.
Yeah.
Definitely. We see it will evolve like that, because once you're working with families to get them to that point of acceptance and recognizing and knowing about their children and your extended family, your aunts and so forth, it eventually comes to that.
We're also going to have, BTC is also going to have some information about our safe house here in Belize, our LGBT safe house. That's our first initiative here in Belize.
Yeah. But we got to come back and talk about that too. We're talking party and you have a safe house specifically. And how do people get in touch if they want to find out more about the event? Who do they get in touch with?
They can get in touch with me, 607-4865, or through PETAL's Facebook page, or BTC, or EYBM.
607-353-2, or they can look up for us on Facebook.
Belize Trans Color is on Facebook, 620-2028. I'm sure a lot of people have that number.
All right, guys. Well, we wish you the best of luck with the upcoming activities. Of course, the makeup and manicure, or makeup and nails event starts today, and then the big day is August 10th, 9 a.m. at the ITVET.
Yes.
Best of luck, and thank you for coming in and sharing the details.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up, so stay tuned.